Welcome to Lineups and Lures. Join hosts Joe and Chris as they break down the biggest stories in professional and amateur sports and reel in the best fishing stories and tips. Whether it's game day strategy or the perfect catch, we've got you covered. Grab your gear and get ready. This is Lineups and Lures. The NFL draft is officially over. The Sanders saga is over.
The Sanders saga.
What do you think about the Seahawks picks this year?
I think Seattle did basically what they needed to do. They needed to shore up the offensive line, and they took the best interior lineman available in the draft. Got some more help on defense for Mike McDonald's defense. They got a safety that people are comparing to Cam Chancellor. Milroe, the quarterback, was an interesting pick, especially since we got Donald. So I'm not 100% sure what the thinking is there. I don't hate the pick. I'm just not sure what the thinking is on that one. I think maybe it could be a steal of the draft. We got ourselves our hometown kid from Oregon State came back, Damian Martinez, in the back end of the draft, which always nice for the local fans.
Yeah, I think the picking up that safety was a big move. I mean, he was projected to be like top 20 or so and ended up dropping all the way to us. So that's a pretty good pick, and picking up the guard. So I thought our first two were really good job.
Yeah, the tight end was interesting. I mean, we do need depth at tight end, so we'll see how that works. At the end of the day, though, this draft was really about Mike McDonald building his football team and making it look like the Baltimore Ravens 2.0, and that's what we're doing.
Well, Ravens 2.0, and then that's a pretty big safety, cornerback, whatever. Is it?
Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it?
I mean, all the draft comparisons were Cam Chancellor, so we like that guy in Seattle.
LOB potentially.
We talked about that last year, that our secondary was good with Witherspoon and the rest of the pieces around him. Like, you started to see that coming to fruition again, and that's a good pick. I mean, and they don't really know, is he a cornerback? Is he a safety? I mean, 6'3", 220, I think, is his listed size. So
outside backer.
He could be anywhere.
No, the funny thing is that this defense that they've built could be better than that 2011, 2012 defense. When you look at the interior defensive linemen, we had okay linemen 12, 13 years ago on that LOB team. It was really built around the back seven, whereas this defense seems to be built around the front seven, yet our back four seem to be very good, and you've already got one Pro Bowler out there in Witherspoon, lockdown corner. It seems like we went and got our safety. That defense Seattle could win a lot of games with 17 to 10, like the old fashioned days, ground and pound, play defense, and I think a lot of us in the Northwest are excited to see that form of football back.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the quarterback pick. So, are you not as high on that? I feel like I'm pretty high on that pick, because if you look at Russell Wilson, it's kind of a very similar pick. There's a lot of comparisons between Milroe and Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts, a guy that can run a little bit. He's pretty physical. I mean, what was he, like a 4.4? I mean, that dude can fly. So putting him in there and getting him on the field this year, I mean, is there a tush push coming to Seattle? Is there some more quarterback design draw type plays? Is there more RPOs? I think you're going to see him on the field in some capacity this year. It's not going to be more than maybe 5 snaps a game. I don't think he's a Taysom Hill kind of guy where he's going to be out catching passes and stuff, but I think you're going to see us implement him in a running game a little bit.
Yeah, I actually disagree with you on that. They didn't pay $100 million for a quarterback to not play, and quarterbacks do not like coming out of football games, even for a tush push, if you will. I guess your original question was what I thought about the pick, and I don't hate it. I mean, we need depth at quarterback. I mean, obviously, Drew Lock is not ever going to be the starting quarterback. He's filling a need and probably does a great job of running scout defense during the week. I guess I'm not sure. It's too early for me to really comment on this. I don't believe that they're going to, and I could be completely wrong here. I mean, I'll admit I was dead wrong on Russell Wilson 13 years ago. We went and got the guy out of Charlie Whitehurst, I believe it was, from Green Bay, and we paid him a bunch of money, and Russell came in and flat beat him out for the job. And, well, that turned out okay. So
that worked out pretty well for us.
Well, it worked out pretty well. I was wrong on that one. But I guess, like I said, I'm not unhappy with the pick. Is there actually a quarterback competition is maybe the better question. I mean, is there a competition?
In 2025, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, this is Darnold's team.
So you still
year.
think it's Darnold's team?
Yes.
Okay.
But I do think that they have to find a way to get the guy on the field, because with Darnold's contract, it could be a 1-year thing. So,
and this is where I 1,000% disagree. How many times have we sat here on this podcast talking about sit your quarterback for a year, 2 years, 3 years?
I'm not saying like give him a start in week 15. I'm saying let's get him out there for 5 plays again. Get him out on the field, get him accustomed to it a little bit in just specific situations. See what he's got.
And that may happen, but no, I think if they actually think he could be the quarterback of the future, which the way Donald's contract was structured was there's out clauses every which way from Sunday in that contract, then yes, maybe he is the guy, but let's sit him. I don't want him getting anywhere near the field for the entire year. I don't even want him doing a tush push. I want him running scout offense and learning and sitting in the film room.
But if you look at Jordan Love in Green Bay, when he sat behind Aaron Rodgers all those years, and then late in the season, Aaron was injured or they were out of playoff contention and they gave him a start, I mean, that guy looked like he had never played football. He looked like he had never played football in 2 years. I don't think the building up the rust is a good thing either. So you gotta get the guy on the field. You got to give him some opportunities. I mean, if we're down by 30 or up by 30 in a game, I don't see any reason to not get him on the field and give him some game speed reps.
So that's where it gets difficult, because you're a coach. I've coached. We all know when you put a guy in with the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s, it's not the same experience as playing with the 1s. And sometimes people get hurt because the 2s and the 3s and the 4s are the 2s and the 3s and the 4s for a reason. And when you don't get protected, you maybe take a hit. Maybe you lose confidence. Maybe you start hearing footsteps, which takes you away from being a great quarterback. And that's where I'm hesitant to put in a young guy, because the last thing I want is for him to not have confidence. He's got to trust his left tackle and his blind side. If he is out there and gets steamrolled in a 30-0 game that means nothing, what did that do for the kid too?
Well, it got him out there. It got him accustomed to the speed, because the speed in a game is definitely different than the speed in practice. So
I agree.
One series is not going to kill a kid's confidence for his entire career.
But I want him to play with the 1s. I don't want him to play with the 3s and the 4s.
Well, he's not going to get to play with the 1s until he's the dude. He's not even going to get that in the preseason. Well, maybe if the beginning of the preseason.
I would trade rust for the potential downside of either getting A, injured, or B, losing your confidence because you get steamrolled because you've got a 3 out there and he got steamrolled by J.J. Watt.
Yeah, I think this argument can go both ways. I think you got to give him some experience, but at the same time, I understand your argument about getting steamrolled and losing all your confidence. But there's going to be a mix. I'm just saying, I think if we're 3rd and 1 on the goal line, I think that's a situation where you might see him come in, and everybody in the ballpark knows you're tush pushing, but just having a little bit more of a physical, faster runner gives you a little bit of leeway. And the other thing you got to remember is, where did our offensive coordinator come from?
Well, look, not horrible ideas. Like maybe a series, a package, something like this. Okay, that's a bigger conversation, and that really comes down to, well, John Schneider and Mike McDonald. I mean, those guys need to figure that one out. That's my only deal. I would hate to see that potentially we're sitting on a gold mine. We don't know. I mean, I think it's always tough when you get a player out of a school of the caliber of a Georgia, of an Alabama, where 3/4 of the team is going to the NFL. So you don't know if it's a product of the great team and the great system, and that's why they did very well, or are they actually really that good? And it's gone both ways with those programs. And when you look at the Ohio States, hell, even Oregon, factories where, you've got some guys that, were they a product of the system, or are they really that good? Time will tell. I'm not ready to make a statement on that one yet with our quarterback, but hey, it's fun to have the option though.
Yeah, I just think it's a good pick. I thought it was a good pick, and in 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, I think he's a guy that could develop in the system and be, it's a big step, but maybe he's the next Lamar Jackson. And if we got something like that out of a 3rd round pick, fourth round pick, like that's pretty good. And if he doesn't pan out to be exactly Lamar, like we still probably have a really athletic quarterback. And if it doesn't work, you go get another guy next year.
And the reality is, you've got a backup QB at $1 million a year. You save it; it's not costing you a lot on the salary cap. And yeah, I think he could run a hell of a scout offense when he's that's what he's going to be doing in practice. That's going to be his job. So. No, I think there's a lot of positives here. Like I said, we didn't spend a 1st round pick. We spent a 4th round pick. We got a rookie that came from a great pro set offense. Yeah, let's see what happens.
This summer, level up your game at Portland Baseball Club's summer camps. Every Tuesday and Thursday, join us from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for skill-building sessions in pitching, hitting, fielding, and more. At just $60 per day, you'll get expert coaching and personalized instruction in a fun and competitive environment. Whether you're a seasoned player or just starting out, Portland Baseball Club summer camps are perfect for all skill levels. Spots will fill up fast. Register today at portlandbaseballclub.com. So continuing on with the NFL draft, are you as tired of hearing Mel Kiper as I am?
Mel Kiper's a joke. I'm not going to get too whatever words you want to use on this, but quite frankly, I'm sick of ESPN, and I refuse to watch the show anymore.
It's hard to watch. I mean, I am so excited the NFL draft is over, because every once in a while, you click over and let's pop in on SportsCenter for 30 seconds, see what's going on. And it's Dallas Cowboys, NFL, every single time, just spitting just nonsense constantly. I'm so done with the draft coverage and listening to all these experts. You sent me...
Well, hold on a second. You used the word expert. I disagree with that statement. They don't get quality people on the show anymore. I mean, there are loudmouths on the show. There ain't expert takes getting taken anymore. The quality of that program is so much less. The only person that is worth a watch is Scott Van Pelt at 9 o'clock at night. He's the only guy worth a watch, and you want to know why? Because he does his homework, he's educated, and he comes with a real, well-rounded position on whatever subject he's talking about.
But Mel Kiper's been doing this for 20, 30 years. I mean, that longevity makes you an expert. I guess you can make an argument.
I disagree with that.
He's been around it. He's seen so many drafts. And if you look at that staff, I mean, who else has been around as long as him covering drafts?
Well, just because a guy's been there forever doesn't mean he's any good at it.
Well, you got to respect the experience. He has seen a lot.
Okay.
But he's also wrong a lot.
He's wrong. When is the last time you actually took the time to look at one of those mock drafts? I'm not talking about for 30 seconds the first 3 picks. I'm talking about going through the list. The answer is, I don't do it.
Never. And now it's not Mel Kiper's draft. There's like 6 mock drafts that are running across the bottom of the screen, and it's just names and numbers, and it's like, does anybody actually look at this?
And here's the reality. If he was actually any good, one of the 30 NFL teams would have given him $10 million. You are our new head of player personnel.
Yes.
But he's not any good, and that's why he's still on ESPN, not the head of player personnel for X team in the NFL.
Yeah. You sent me a clip on, I think it was Instagram, about regrading or grading the 2012 Seahawks draft.
And oh, by the way, that was from Barstool Sports, which is meant to be a somewhat credible
sports coverage, I guess. Yeah. They came out and said that 2012 draft was basically an F. Terrible.
They graded it an F.
And how many Hall of Famers did we pick up in that draft?
Well, there's 2 first ballot Hall of Famers in that draft. Bruce Irvin was the 3rd player in that draft that was pretty good. And I think I'd have to go back and look. I think we picked up someone in like the 7th round that was, I'm not saying they were a Hall of Famer, but they were a solid NFL pick, which, just to get one Pro Bowl player in a draft is pretty special.
Yes.
And we got arguably the best linebacker in football for the previous 12 seasons. And I actually really mean that. I think he might have been the best linebacker in football. And a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. Yep. Any questions?
No. So it's just, you got to take him with a grain of salt, because You just don't. You can grade all these drafts, and it creates a lot of discussion, but nobody knows. You got to get these guys on the field and see what they can actually do, and give them 2-3 years to see how they actually pan out.
Well, and in all fairness, I mean, these guys are trying to do a job, and let's be honest, shock works.
They got to get clicks.
Yeah, they got it. Nowadays it's clicks, but I think a lot of these sports telecasters are looking for that hot take, that in your face type of the deal, because I guess that's what the younger generation wants. But maybe we got old, and I prefer a more laid back approach and actually coming with me with receipts, not just a hot take. But they got a job to do. It appears to be working for them. So I'm not necessarily saying that they believe everything that's coming out of their mouth too. They might just be making it for the camera.
Absolutely. All right, 60 seconds, and then I don't ever want to talk about this guy again.
No,
unless we're
let's just not do it.
No, we got to talk about it.
No, let's just not do it.
Is he QB1 for Cleveland to start the year?
No, Flacco's going to start. They've already said it.
Is he QB2?
He might be playing wide receiver for that franchise. I mean, that franchise is stupid. 5 quarterbacks on the roster. I mean, you go and trade like 3 first-round picks, pay the man, guarantee him $250 million, and you go and draft 2 quarterbers. What are you thinking? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I'd love to be in that draft room and figure out what was going on.
I think you might leave dumber. I wouldn't even walk in the room. You might get a rash or something. I mean, they're just sick in the head.
I mean, that might be the next Keeping Up with the Kardashians type situation. I'd love to see that on TV.
And here's the other thing. You actually go and take a pretty good quarterback out of Oregon, who we shouldn't, just brush that aside. There's a kid that went to the playoffs. Do I think he's going to be a starter in the NFL? No, I don't. I think he lacks the size. He doesn't have the arm strength. Then again, they said that about Peyton Manning not having the arm strength, so let's not get all carried away. But look, at the end of the day, you took a guy that's proven that he can win football games, proven that he can play with the best in the country, and then you go and draft another guy 2 rounds later after you've already got. I mean, you've got a 2-time Super Bowl, 1-time winner quarterback. I mean, Flacco's a real deal. I mean,
yeah.
He's 6'5", 240, and throws absolute bullets still at 40 years old. He just doesn't move like he used to. But I guess you could say there's a great situation there where these kids can learn from a guy that's been there, done it, and is a dude. But I don't get this.
But there's no way that Flacco ends that season as the starting quarterback in Cleveland. He is there as a placeholder. And like you said, maybe he trains, and I guess in practice reps, Sanders and Gabriel are getting all these reps, and maybe one of them gets that chance about halfway through the season when the Browns are already eliminated.
Well, I think we should also not forget that Deshaun Watson was a very good quarterback in Houston.
Yeah, but he keeps tearing his Achilles, so he's not coming back this year, I don't think.
I would imagine, though, that he is number 2 if healthy.
If healthy.
Okay.
If healthy, I think he's number 1. I think Flacco's number 2.
Flacco's there cashing his paycheck going, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I get to play football, and I have 0 expectations, but I might just go out there and throw for 450 yards like I did in the playoff game last year or whatever it was. But yes.
Yeah. Do you know who's on Hard Knocks yet this year? Have you paid any attention to that? Because if HBO is not beating down the door of Cleveland, I don't know what they're doing, because that could be a crazy show.
So it's kind of funny. So there wasn't a Hard Knocks in the offseason this year because they did that really great deal with the Giants over the draft and everything.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that they were trying to get Belichick at UNC, and then the NFL said, NFL only.
Well, was it Belichick or was it his girlfriend? Because she seems to be controlling that relationship right now.
No, but it was the NFL that said no to the. This is about the NFL, not about college football. Belichick and the girlfriend. Let's save that one for another time. But there are also rules.
There is. And
I believe there's things like you have either not gone to the playoff for a couple of years, you can't have been on the show for a couple of years. I don't remember all the criteria off my head, but that would be kind of cool.
Hey there, I'm Chad with Jackson Painting and Remodel, and if you're looking to give your home a fresh new look, you've come to the right place. Whether you need a bold new color for your living room or a fresh coat to brighten up your home's exterior, my team and I have got you covered. We specialize in both indoor and outdoor painting, using only the best materials to make sure your space looks amazing and stands the test of time. If you're ready to transform your home, visit jacksonpainting.com. I'd love to come by, chat about your ideas, and give you a free estimate. At Jackson Painting and Remodel, we don't just paint, we make your vision a reality. Again, visit jacksonpainting.com or call 503-620-2600.
Big F1 race this weekend coming up in Miami. The celebrity hotspot F1 race of the year.
Nah, Vegas might be bigger than Miami, but we'll see.
I don't think so. I watched that Miami pre-race last year, and it seemed like it was a who's who.
It is.
Vegas didn't feel quite like that.
Okay.
But who do you got this weekend in the F1 race?
You know, I think until somebody can beat Lando and Oscar, it's Lando and Oscar 1-2.
So why is it them so consistent? I mean, are they just they have a better car right
Yes.
now? They just have better
That's
feel
it.
for the tracks?
Nope.
Better car.
Yeah. I mean, if you could put any one of the top 10 drivers in the right car, Lewis Hamilton won 7 out of 8 championships. He's finishing 8th every week right now. He just had the best car. Max Verstappen in that Red Bull for the last 5 years. No one could catch him. McLaren figured it out this time around. Unfortunately, in the sport that it has become today, the technology is so cutting edge that whichever team finds the next thing first, they win for the next 4 or 5 years, and then the next car figures it out.
So how come they can't make quicker adjustments? I mean, why is it a 4-year learning curve to
It's not
get
so
caught
much.
up?
It's not the learning curve. It's the rules of the sport and the money that's involved. They have essentially a salary cap on how much they can spend on the car.
Okay.
So once you've built the car, you have to buy all the replacement parts for the car because occasionally these things go into the wall.
True.
So you can't build a new car halfway through the season because you don't have the budget for it. Not that they don't actually have the money. They're just not allowed to spend the money.
So we're not just talking about like small components, like maybe a little bit different tire or
But you got to
different
remember a set of
spoiler.
tires might be $20,000.
Yeah.
One set of tires. I mean, yeah, it's money. It's the rules of the game. That's why it takes teams a few years because they've got to spend the money on the car. They've got to have all the replacement parts for the car because they got to get through 24 races. So they can't do it till next year. And then if the next guy tweaks his a little bit better, he's still ahead of you. So that's why.
So do you see like with the different races and the different cities they go to, because every course is slightly different or probably dramatically different.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that they're able to win on all these different tracks? Because there is changes. So it's not like it's just NASCAR where they're just driving in a circle for however many laps. Like you would think that a car would be able to, one of these other drivers would be able to adapt and give them a better challenge on a different course. But it seems like you said, they're just dominating right now.
So certain cars will operate better on different tracks. Some cars are better in a straight line. Some cars can hold better speed through a turn. There's also the gamble of, do you set the car up to qualify or do you set the car up for race? Because they are only allowed to make minor adjustments once they start. So you kind of got to go, do I try to qualify first and then not let anybody get by me? Or do I maybe set it up where I can't go around the corner as quick and I'm not going to qualify first, but I've got an extra 15 miles an hour pace down the straight because I've got less wing. Can I overtake? So there is some strategery going on with setting up the race car.
Yeah, and that goes from weekend to weekend as the track changes.
Yeah.
And are they figuring that stuff out during the, time trials, practice runs, that kind of thing? I mean, are you making constant little tweaks as you're going through that and seeing how that affects everything? Or is this just kind of a, hey, this one has a few more tighter turns and a little more straightaways, so we're going to make these adjustments to the car?
Well, I think the answer is all of the above. You got to remember that 90% of these tracks they've been racing on for decades, so they have historical data. You can go back and look at what happens at certain tracks, and it's repetitive. I mean, it's going to be relatively similar every time you go to certain tracks. So you can go to Monaco and go, I just need to qualify first because you literally cannot overtake on that racetrack. So you set the car up to qualify first. And if you don't, you go, well, I'm just going to be a parade for 60 laps. Then you go to other courses like they're in Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago that has one of the longest straights in all of Formula One racing. Maybe you set the car up to where, okay, I don't go around the corner very quickly, but I got a 2-mile straight where if I'm doing 15 miles an hour faster than the other guy, I can overtake him. So yes, you got to set up the car based on the track.
So Team McLaren is kind of dominating this year, right?
Yep.
You said that. So they kind of finish 1-2 every time. That's always going to be, who are the two drivers?
Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri.
So do you think at some point those two, are they trading off wins? Or they're both kind of first? I mean, at some point does Norris go, hey, you think maybe you could let me win this race and you take the next one?
So this is a very unique situation in Formula One racing where typically you have the lead driver and the number 2 driver. McLaren has come out very honestly and said, we do not have a number 1 and number 2. We have our 2 drivers. And they are free to race.
I thought this would be kind of a shake and bake situation where one guy's going to be...
So typically it is.
He's going to win every race, and the second guy's just kind of block and create that slingshot for him. And after that, But you would think that Team McLaren would be like, hey, we have the top 2 drivers, not just one driver. Like, we kind of pass it around a little bit. That's only going to help for sponsorship money, I would assume.
So there's a couple things to bear in mind. Number one, yes. The combined points of the drivers is what the team is looking for, and you get paid money based upon your team performance.
Okay.
So that is the overall number 1 goal. We haven't seen a situation like this in 10 years to when Nico Hülkenberg drove the other Mercedes and actually beat Lewis Hamilton in that one season, and he won the Drivers' Championship. So we haven't had a situation like this in a decade. At some point, I believe McLaren will want one of the drivers to also win the Drivers' Championship.
Yes.
I think they are going to let this play out as long as possible. If one of them establishes a clear-cut lead, then the other will be forced to play second fiddle.
Second place. Do you know how much longer the season goes on, or how many more races there are?
We've just started. We're only 4 or 5 races in, and there's 24 of them. So we're not going to know They have their summer break in August, so we probably won't know till the end of that summer break. I think at that point there'll be a decision made based on points or whatever it may be. That'll be when the decision's made.
Yeah, so you're just sticking with it's going to be a Team McLaren victory again this week.
Look, George has been great in the Mercedes, and Max Verstappen in the Red Bull are the other 2 people that are sniffing around. Lewis, Leclerc, and the Ferraris just haven't had the pace so far this year. The rookie in the other Mercedes has not done so well yet at this point, and quite frankly, none of the other cars are close enough.
Nice. Well, I'll try to tune in on the pregame a little bit, see all the celebrities, all the hoopla, and then once the race starts, I'll turn that one over to you, and we'll report back after. Enjoyed Lineups and Lures? Like, share, and rate the show to help us grow. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time on Lineups and Lures.